This clip of the Texas Bucket List is brought to you by Spirit of Texas Bank and Slovacek Sausage. Howdy, and welcome to the Texas Bucket List, the show dedicated to everything there is to see, do, and experience right here in the Lone Star State before you, well, kick the bucket. My name is Shane McAuliffe, and this week we talk about the business of Texas. You see, Texas is busy each and every day, but right now one of the busiest places might just be the Permian Basin. You see, Midland and Odessa are in the middle of a big oil boom, and that has the Petroplex way in the black. But to get an understanding of how all this happened here, you have to stop on Interstate 20 at the Petroleum Museum to get an appreciation of the roughneck way of life. Anywhere you drive in West Texas, you'll see them. Pump jacks pump away, pulling Texas tea out of the Permian Basin and into the Lone Star State economy. Each and every day, these monstrous machines help produce close to 900,000 barrels of oil a day, and that number is rising. While these rocking horses rock back and forth, the town dedicated to this way of life has created a way to get a closer look at how it all began, how it's improved, and the way it's contributed to the Texas way of life.
We talk about our cultural history with our fabulous top-level paintings. We talk about the industry, why oil is here, how it's formed, and how we get it out of the ground.
Kathy Shannon is the executive director of the Petroleum Museum, which has celebrated the oil business in these parts since 1975.
Spreading that word about it and being an advocate for the industry is very important to us.
The museum has 35,000 square feet of exhibits you'd expect and a few surprises.
You have a lot to see here.
Things start off with an explanation of the Permian Basin and how the first well got started back in 1923.
It's really important to understand the geology and why we have oil here.
But to really get an understanding, you have to go back a long, long time ago. Time to go back in time, when this entire area looked a bit different.
You know, it once being the Permian Sea, it's kind of hard to imagine when you look around now.
It's hard to imagine this being an ocean when it's such a flat, dry, desert terrain.
And that's what's made the Permian Basin what it is today.
Oil tends to be thought of as coming from places that were oceans, were seas, so they were plant and animal life that lived in the water.
But the museum doesn't just cover how it all formed, it also relives the development of the area and the incredible danger in digging for oil.
It is a very risky business. You're dealing with huge equipment, heavy equipment. You're dealing with flammable liquids that can be ignited with static electricity.
The Petroleum Museum doesn't shy away from this subject because it's simply part of the business. Like the dangers of traveling into space or driving a race car, there's always something that could go wrong.
The point of understanding things like blowouts and accidents that happen is to understand how far the industry has come to make it safe.
Speaking of race cars, the museum also pays tribute to Midland native Jim Hall and the car he helped develop, the Chaparral. There's even fine art and fabulous rock formations to finish out the museum, making it an all-encompassing stop for science.
We've never been to Midland before, and as we're driving down the road, we saw the museum sign and the oil derricks going and said, hey, let's check it out.
Bruce Malone stopped in from Austin, and he appreciates the incredible amount of info.
It had a wealth of knowledge. I had no idea that there was going to be so much information about the history of oil work and oil drilling, and then these amazing gemstones from digging in the earth, and the samples from tens of thousands of feet. They were just fantastic.
And I've always thought that the museum was very, very good at giving you a grasp of West Texas beyond just the flat desert that you see on top.
George Cross is a native that takes friends to the museum to get a better idea of how big of a role oil plays in this part of Texas.
No matter what job you have, that you are in the oil field business here, because everything revolves around the oil field.
His wife Robin isn't from here. She's from another oil producing state.
They say everything in Texas is bigger, but Alaska is a bigger state.
Despite her opinion, no matter how factual it may be, she did give credit to the size of the oil equipment.
You always see them in pictures, you don't realize how big they are.
So if you find yourself in the middle of Midland looking to learn more about the oil industry in Texas, a stop at the Petroleum Museum is worth the gas on the Texas bucket list.
It opens your mind to the area you live in, and it gives you a greater appreciation for living here, really.
Well, I think it's very important that people know like the history of the earth, because we only inhabit this earth a very short time, and to actually respect it and know, the world that we live in will help protect it for the future.
It's a whole culture of why we are who we are, and it really explains a lot why we can be a little more independent, and we have that Texas proud, and it's because of the people that have been here before us, and I think that's an important thing to understand.